Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with our event deck for the Theme Chronicle event. For those who might not remember, Theme Chronicle is the event where you use decks from solo mode, or rather the ban list prioritizes decks that are featured in solo mode, as well as a few other engines or less powerful decks, right? So, I decided to go with Orcust, because I recently crafted myself a set of gear suit, and I've been having a ton of fun playing Orcust. Particularly, I started by just porting my regular Snake Eye Orcust list, Cashier Snake Eye Orcust list, into the event just to see what all was banned. The Cashiers were banned as expected, Flamberge was banned, as well as Snake Eye's DML Star, but the rest of the Snake Eye engine actually remains intact. Now, of course, if we go to some of the better Link monsters here, especially Link 3 or higher monsters, are pretty much all banned. This is stuff that you would normally see in Snake Eye, right? So, basically what we're doing here is we're pretty much just using the Snake Eye cards to facilitate Orcust plays. They give us more than enough bodies to do so. So this is kind of the other way you could play Snake Eye Orcust, right? Like, the list that I showed recently was pretty much a pure Snake Eye deck that had like an Orcust engine tacked onto it. But you could definitely go the other end of the spectrum, which this deck is, using a small Snake Eye engine to facilitate Orcust plays. So, I mean, of course, aside from like this being an event deck, that's why we're playing like 3 Harp Horror in this build. Multiple Orcust Nightmare, as someone pointed out in the comments last time, is never a bad idea in pretty much any Orcust deck, because if you open Orcust Nightmare, you then need a way to discard it, right? Because you won't be able to special summon it off of the effect of Nightmare Mermaid, because it has to summon from deck. It can't be hand or deck. So the 2 Orcust Nightmare you could play in, again, any Orcust build. Just depends how concerned you are really with top decking that. We're playing Orchestrated Return in this build because we're playing a lot more Orcust cards. Always nice to be able to not only draw a couple of cards, but this will definitely get your plays going if you open it alongside like Harp Horror or something, right? The 2 original Sinful Spoils, I would probably cut this down to 1, just because we're not playing that robust of a Snake Eye engine. I started with 2 just to have more extenders. Again, kind of like Orchestrated Return, if you open this alongside Harp Horror, that's actually a lot better, because you could normal summon Harp Horror, use OSS, send Harp Horror, summon Ash, do Snake Eye stuff, and then at the end of that, you still have a Harp Horror that you can utilize. As always, when you're playing Orcust with other non-dark decks, make sure that you are saving the Orcust combo lines for after you special summoned all the non-dark monsters you intend to. For the RX trick, that could even include Nightmare Griffin. I think I will end up showing a game. I know I have one saved where we actually do pull off Nightmare Griffin on our turn 1. But Nightmare Griffin's light, so you gotta have a pretty good hand to be able to summon this before going into all of your Orcust cards, right? Yeah, the top of the extract here is kind of just like we scrape together what we can. Not for the most part. I mean, long years, so you would normally play anyway, but like, yeah, our top end of the extra deck is maybe something left to be desired. I'd probably replace Amble Whale. I have not used this at all yet, but everything else in the extra deck has been pretty good so far. I would definitely be on a second Ding if I had it. I might end up crafting that at some point. Second Ding isn't like super necessary. It's kind of nice in like really grindy games, but even in grind games, like, you can still just revive the Ding with Symbol Skeleton, especially if you're like recycling it well. I mean, yeah, there's an argument for it, but it's also not necessary. Alright, I think that pretty much covers this list. I guess I could talk a little bit about the event ban list, because a lot of other Theme Chronicle builds were pretty restrictive on hand traps. This one really isn't, though, down to the point where, like, Maxi is pretty much the only... Actually, I think over here, yeah, I've got more hand trap stuff. Yeah, Maxi is pretty much the only major hand trap banned, aside from, like, maybe Shifter, or if you count Bestials as hand traps, those, but pretty much everything else is legal here as far as hand traps go, including the Molcharmy. So you definitely want to be rocking a playset of Fuelos, but, of course, yeah, we've got Valor, Imperm, Ash Blossom. I thought for Theme Chronicle... no, I'm thinking of the anime one, which is Legacy Collection? No, that's an old product. I don't remember what it's called. But, yeah, in the anime one, it's like every hand trap is banned except for Valor, and you get like 1 imperm. But I don't think that was the case previously in Fame Chronicle. Either way, that's really the major noteworthy thing to note about the ban list as far as like generic cards go. Again, is of course the fact that Maxi is pretty much the only major hand trap banned. Okay, yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to say here. Yeah, why don't we go ahead and just break this list down card by card, and then we'll start looking at these duels. So we're on 3 Effect Valor, excuse me, 1 Snake Eye Ash, 1 Snake Eye Oak, 1 Snake Eyes Poplar, 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 1 Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion, 1 Orcust Symbol Skeleton, 2 Orcust Harpor, 3 Girsu the Orcust Mech Knight, 3 Molcharby Fuelos, 2 Orcust Nightmare, 1 World Legacy, World Wand, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 1-for-1, 1 Orchestrated Return, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, 2 Bonfire, 2 Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye, 1 Orchestrated Babble, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Cross-Out Designator, 3 Infinite Permanents, and then 1 Orcust Crescendo. That's going to be our main deck. For the extra, we're on 1 Dingirsu, the Orcust of the Evening Star, 1 Linkribo, 1 Nightmare Mermaid, 1 Nightmare Goblin, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 2 Galatea, the Orcust Automaton, 1 Hita, the Fire Charmer Ablaze, 1 IEP Masquerena, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Longirsu, the Orcust Orchestrator, 1 Nightmare Griffin, 1 Mech Knight Crusade Avermax, and finally, 1 Amphibious Swarm Ship Ambluwhale. That's going to be it for our list. Let's take a look at these duels. Okay, so for our first game, we're up against Skull Servants, which I do actually kind of want to try this deck out too. I've been meaning to try it out in general since they got their newest support card, but especially being legal for the event because they have a gate is really funny. So if you ever encounter a going second deck, it's probably Skull Servant in this event, of course. So since they decided to go first, or second rather, we're going first. Gonna lead with Normal Summon Girsu, dumping off the Harpor and using the effect for the World Legacy token. We can link into Nightmare Cerberus and then discard in order to pop their token before going into Nightmare Mermaid and then using the effect to really get things going here. Although, to be fair, I don't really have to do that necessarily because I already have Harpor in the graveyard. But all the same, we're going to go for the Galatea here. Going to go ahead and use the Harpor effect to summon out Symbol Skeleton. Now I can use Galatea to put back Harpor and then set the Orcust Crescendo. From there, I'm going to use Orchestrated Return on the Symbol Skeleton, drawing 2, setting Imperm. And the reason that I passed here is that my opponent started after this point. They were getting past priority, so I was a little bit afraid of a Nibiru. So the reason that I passed here, and to be fair, they got me. They didn't actually have one. The reason I passed here is because I kind of figured that, alright, if we are going to get nibbed, we can at least use Symbol Skeleton to bring back Galatea, and then we're still, like, good to go. We can make plays. So, but even if we don't get nibbed, this is still a fine place to end, even though we maybe could have done a little bit more here. It's all good. Alright, so they're going to use Slash Jaw in order to start setting up their graveyard here a little bit. Well, not really, because they have to put everything back, right? Oh, but they get to keep the White Prince, the card they discarded. So, going to mill a couple with that, going for Allure to banish a Lady in White. Here's the new card here, this one. It's a White Lord. So, by discarding it, they can mill cards in their graveyard, or sorry, sending it from the hand to the graveyard. You can mill cards equal to the number of Skull Servants in the graveyard. So they have... Does it include this card? I think so. So I think they mill 4 here. Yeah, 4. There we go. And one of them is actually White Baking. This is what I was waiting for to use my Ash Blossom on. I really do not want them to be adding multiple Skull Servant cards off of that. Definitely not something I'm trying to see here. So they go for Normal Summon White Princess. I decided to imperm this, although looking back, I probably should just let this go. This would just have milled White Prince. Although, to be fair, I really just don't want them to have more Skull Servants in the yard, because White Prince is a pretty hefty cost of requiring you to banish multiple Skull Servants from your yard in order to summon out the king, right? So, like, even if they were to summon a king here... Okay, they're summoning Princess. Princess F to send White Prince. Yeah, even if they were to summon king with White Prince effect now, they'd have 0 Skull Servants in the yard for king. I think they'd have one, but... yeah, they're going to drop it to battle over my monster here before passing back over to us. We're kind of in top deck mode, but also not really, because much like Phantom Knight, Orcust really just gets to pop off on a follow-up turn with everything they comboed off on turn 1 with, right? So we can use the Crescendo to add the Gear Suit. Once again, we're going to use Gear Suit to summon out some tokens, get an extra body for ourselves. I actually think this was pretty unnecessary. Because I don't think I really end up using this token for too much that's useful here. Yeah, we still have another Orcust spell trap for the second Galatea. We have the field spell Orchestrated Babel. Gonna use the Orcust Nightmare to send the World Legacy World Wand. Now we get to go for Ding Girasu. And Ding gets to send a card here. I'm just gonna send the token, not have to worry about it. They can use the White Princess effect, but I'm like, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Basically means we do 200 damage instead of 1,000, which is very negligible. Alright, main phase 2 are going into the Azalea. I'm not going to use the effect, I'm just using her to link climb because the Longirisu requires effect monsters, so I can't use the token for that. Alright, so Longirisu pass. This doesn't look ideal, but remember that while Orchestrated Babel is in play, all of my Orcust effects become quick effects, including stuff in the graveyard. So what I have set up here is I have Symbol Skeleton along with Dingirsu in the graveyard. So that's a quick effect, sending any card from the opponent's field to the graveyard right there. If I need more bodies, I could also set up, like, I could also use a Nightmare, set up a Harp Horror in the graveyard, and then summon something from deck, so we're not looking too bad here. Alright, Slash, Draw, Milling, just a bunch of random spells there, discarding another White Princess. And then what did they draw? It was Allure, okay. I decided to preemptively call by on the White Prince here, because it does banish itself as part of the cost, so I'm going to need to take care of that now. Yeah, and even if they mill another copy, it doesn't really matter, right? Alright, so they managed to finally top deck a King of the Skull Swords off that Allure. If we look at their mills, they actually hadn't seen one yet, which was a little bit surprising. And they do have enough here to get it up to 8k attack. But thankfully, as mentioned before, we can just use Symbol Skeleton as a quick effect, even during the battle phase. Summon out Ding. Ding F will send the King of the Skull Servants. And yeah, now we don't lose. Well, we weren't going to lose anyway, but now we don't take a ton of damage and have to deal with a giant King of the Skull Servants, right? Alright, so I'm going to go for a Relinquished Anima off the Revives White Baking. I definitely want to use the Longirsu effect before Anima has a chance to activate. Again, remember, thanks to the field spell, it's a quick effect, so we can send a linked monster to the yard, including this Anima. Linked, by the way, just means in any zone that it's pointing to. Co-linked means the arrows are pointing to each other. Linked just means the arrow is pointing one way. Yeah, so end phase, I'll get a bunch of my Orcust effects off here so I can kind of double dip during my turn. Like, I can just use all these effects again because they're all once per turn, right? Although I'm not going to have to really use that many because it's really just going to take one more body for me to have enough damage to swing in for lethal here. And there it is. Beautiful. So yeah, that was a good game because I don't think we even really ended up using any of the Snake Eye stuff, right? That was like pretty much just a pure Orcust. Yeah, that was like pretty much pure Orcust goodness. So, I mean, even if you don't end up pairing it with the Snake Eye engine, I think this duel very well demonstrated how good Orcust can potentially be, not only in this event, but I think in general. I will say that, you know, I didn't think that Orcust would have such an interactive endboard just reading the cards like by themselves, not anything else like generic or otherwise, right? But yeah, no, it actually turned out to be pretty solid. So anyway, let's go and take a look at our next game. Okay, so for this one, we're going to be up against, I think this was Fluanderies, which I was a little surprised was like, well, I don't think, actually, I don't know what's legal, because I know they're playing Flu cards, but I don't know if M-Pen is legal. I don't remember that well what's in their deck here. But anyway, so this will be a game where we show off doing a bunch of Snake Eye stuff to get our play started. Here, I uniquely opened Oak plus Foolish, so I decided to Foolish the Snake Eye Ash, and then normal summon Oak to res it for max bodies here. Getting the special the Poplar that we added. Unfortunately, the OSSs don't really do anything anymore, but that's not that big of a deal. We're going to link a couple of our guys into Nightmare Goblin, and then we're going to send off the Nightmare Goblin for the Nightmare Mermaid. So this is why Snake Eye makes such a good engine for this deck. Not only does it get multiple bodies on board to go into the Nightmare Goblin / Phoenix / Cerberus and then Mermaid, but it'll often leave you with extra bodies like this little Poplar we've got here. So, alright, we're going to use the Orcust Nightmare that we summoned to set up Harp Horror in the graveyard. Harp Horror summons Gearsu. Gearsu gets the middle symbol skeleton, adding yet another body to our end board. Going to set up the Orcust Crescendo here, our counter trap Omni Negate. We then get to link Galatea and Gearsu into the Long Gearsu. And then we're going to use Symbol Skeleton to bring back Gearsu just so we can link it off with Poplar. And then this will let us make IP Masquerena. Oh yeah, Poplar gets to put itself in the spell trap. Doesn't really mean anything in this kind of a game though, because we don't really have any more interactions with it. But this is what I found to be a very typical turn 1 end board for this event deck. If you start with the Snake Eye stuff in particular, that'll typically get you enough bodies to end on not only the Long Gearsu and the Orcust Crescendo, but then also an IP Masquerena. So the idea here is that you would use the Orcust Crescendo first, and then you could use IP Masquerena to potentially go into something like Avermax or Nightmare Unicorn, just kind of depending on whatever you end up needing, right? Alright, so they're going to lead with Dimensional Fissure, setting a couple of cards in passive. Looks like they didn't manage to find any of their flu monsters. Yeah, I remember this game now. I thought I was up against a stun deck. I didn't really realize that flu was legal for this event, or that as much of it that is legal was. So, I'm like, I'm going to go for Nightmare Unicorn. Let's try to get this D-Barrier off the field, or Dimensional Fissure, rather, off the field. They're going to try to Solemn Warning. I'm definitely going to Orcust Crescendo this. Alright, now from there we're going to use the Nightmare Unicorn effect, and they're going to Imperm. They really want to keep this Dimensional Fissure on the field, and to be fair, I am pretty decently trying to get it off the board, because it's a little annoying, but that's the thing, right? It's a little annoying. Honestly, even if I can't set up more stuff in my graveyard, I still have full control of the board here, and I still have Imperm and Ash Blossom, so, we're looking pretty good in spite of our opponent's back rows here. And the funny thing is, our opponent's back rows didn't even really end up mattering, because I can just go Lungirsu into Ding, and then I can use Ding to just send the Dimensional Fissure. So, we managed to pick apart our opponent's back row pretty nicely there. Swinging in for almost lethal, not quite. I decided to end on the Avermax here, just because I wasn't going to have a chance to summon it during my opponent's turn. I would have liked to have summoned this off of IP, ideally, but... they just have another D Fissure, and that's it. That's really funny, so... There we go. Finishing off our opponent here. Yeah, they didn't get to see any flu cards, which does make this look like a really one-sided duel. But to be fair, we also have an Imperm and an Ash Blossom that we never end up using, and I think that would have also been sufficient to stop any amount of flu plays that they had. So, I again wanted to show off not only what a turn 1 and back and forth game would look like with just Orcust on that first one, but then on this one wanted to show what a turn 1 back and forth combo game looks like when you start with Snake Eye stuff. I just want to find... I gotta find which replay has the Nightmare Griffin line. I'll show you that here. We'll finish off with that one. Okay, so here is going to be our last game where we do manage to summon Nightmare Griffin. This opponent's going to be on Lightsworn, which I totally forgot they have a solo mode gate, but they do. Alright, so we're going first here. Yeah, I got this mixed up with another game I had saved against Lightsworn. Okay, so we're going to lead with Gearsu. They're going to Imperm the Gearsu. So, no tokens for us either. Along with the mill, which is more important. But we have 1 for 1, so it doesn't really matter. And we even get to send an Orcust Nightmare to the graveyard to activate it. Going for Snake Eye Ash, we're of course going to add the Poplar. Poplar's effect will special summon and then add OSS. And of course we're going to link off the Poplar into Link Rebo, which will then allow us to place the Poplar into our spell trap zone. Now, normally you would use Ash to go for, like, Ogre or something, But that won't gain us any bodies if we do it that way. So I'm going to OSS for Oak, sending the Poplar the spell trap, and then Oak revive the Poplar. Alright, now from here we're going to link Poplar and Girsu into... I didn't even really need to do this, going to a Galatea first. I realized I could have just gone all 4 into the Nightmare Griffin. But either way, we're setting up that Nightmare Griffin. And again, you gotta do this before you do any Orcust stuff, because Nightmare Griffin, again, is light. And if you activate even a single Orcust graveyard effect, you will be unable to special summon for the rest of the turn except dark monsters. So... again, just making sure that we're keeping that in mind. Gonna mill the Harpour here. Harpour F, we're going to use summon out Symbol Skeleton. Get to link off the Link Rebo and the Symbol Skeleton to go into Galatea. From there we can activate the Galatea effect. Of course, if you have a Nightmare Griffin up, make sure that anything you're special summoning is going into one of the zones directly next to it. Otherwise, it will not get to activate its effects. So the reason I'm going to Ding Girsu here is to be able to get the Orcust Nightmare into the graveyard. And then this also sets up the ability to revive Ding on the follow-up turn, because we can use Long Girsu to shuffle back the Symbol Skeleton that's in our graveyard. Well, we'd have to banish something else first, though, right? I don't think I played that very well, honestly. Especially because I already have an Orcust Nightmare in the yard. I think I definitely wasted the first Galatea. I think I kind of wasted the Ding here, too. Yeah, I definitely could have played that line a lot more optimally. But, if nothing else, this is a way to set up Nightmare Griffin. I think you could have done it better, though, personally. Or I could have. Well, you could do it better by learning from me, too. That's kind of the whole point of this channel. Alright, so we're going to get to add the Judgment Dragon off of the Lightsworn Dragonling here. Going for another Solar Recharge. Milling a Wolf, which I'll get to summon off of. Alright, they're going to then charge for Lumina. Wow, what are we in 2008 again? I definitely didn't have Weiss in 2008. Adding the Aegis and then milling top 2. Aegis gets to reset itself. That gets to negate one of my monsters for each Lightsworn monster they control, which might be a little bit annoying. So I was a little worried they might put Minerva in the EMZ so that the Nightmare Griffin was pointing to it, but they didn't. So I don't think they're actually privy to Nightmare Griffin here. I want to imperm this Lumina, as it's the only thing that can activate its effect right now. Now, granted, they could just battle over the Nightmare Griffin. They're actually going to do it with the Enlightenment Dragon. But they actually chose to battle over Long Girsu instead. So I was like, that's fine. Although, it's kind of not, because of the way I totally wasted... I should not have tried to go into Long Girsu, I think. I think I wasted, again, definitely wasted Galatea. Pretty sure I just wasted a Ding here as well. Alright, so the Lightsworn Aegis will hit the Girsu, unfortunately. Otherwise, I was going to try to send World Wand to bring back the Symbol Skeleton. Yeah, no, at this point I'm just going to... Hang on, where is it? There we go. Yeah, I'll just concede to my opponent here. Yeah, no, I definitely misplayed that one for sure. But if the Girsu hadn't been negated there, like I said, it would have sent the World Wand, banished World Wand from grave, summon Symbol Skeleton, go into Elite 2, then Symbol Skeleton could have brought back Ding to send Enlightenment. But, of course, by that point, Enlightenment had already banished our entire board and graveyard, so there was pretty much just no coming back at that point. Alright, that'll go ahead and do it for these games and for this video. So thank you, as always, for watching. But why don't we just move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free. And if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.